Thanks, Philip, and welcome to Today in Putnam County. The show is talking about all the great things happening in our community. Hope you're having a great weekend. My guest today is Allgood City Mayor Lisa Chapman Fowler. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Randy.
Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Congratulations on your election recently. But you've been in office now about, what, 7 months or so? And
About that.
how's things going in Allgood?
Well, I think they're going pretty well. I haven't been disappointed, and things certainly have changed over the last few years, but I think that we're on an even keel, and I hope that we can keep it that way.
I hope so too. Allgood has a great future ahead of it, I think, and has done some amazing things that we're going to talk about today in our show.
Okay.
You're not new to public service or Allgood. You and I go back a long ways. You were our collection attorney for EMS for many years, but you have a history in Allgood of public service. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got there.
Well, my history of public service, I guess, started in 1994 when I was selected to be the city judge for Allgood. But actually, it even goes back a little further than that because my grandfather was on the city council.
Wow.
My father was on the city council. And when I was elected mayor for the first time in 2002, then that kind of completed the generational history.
Third generation in public service in Allgood. That is
Yes,
great.
Sir.
Well, you saw all the great things that have happened in Allgood, but there was a time that we all remember back in the 90s when there was a possibility that Allgood may have not made it, or there was talk of merging with Cookeville and all these kind of things. That's all changed, though. Allgood has gone from not so good a shape to probably one of the most financially stable cities for its size that I know of in our area and probably in the whole country. What's changed?
Well, it's that all elusive dollar sign. We have been very, very fortunate that we have had businesses locate in Allgood. And of course, back in the 90s, you know, we were looking at infrastructure problems and issues, and those, as you know, can't be corrected with just a wish and a prayer.
Right.
You've got to have the greenbacks to go with it.
Absolutely.
So we, again, as I say, we're fortunate in that in my first administration, Walmart decided to locate in our little burg. And so
The big Walmart.
yeah, well, we're smaller. We're medium-sized Walmart, but it's very big for Allgood.
So in your opinion, that was what started the change in Allgood back in those days?
I would think so. You know, we've grown too, and I hate to hear people refer to Allgood as a bedroom community because we hear that so much. We are much more than that, and maybe in the early 90s we weren't, but we would like folks to come to town, live there, you know, have an interest, have a vested interest in the community. And I think that all started to change around the late 90s, the early 2000s, and then with the location of Walmart, of course, that's given us a much more substantial tax base that we can operate from.
Which is key to the success, especially of any city. We're talking to Lisa Fowler this morning, mayor of Allgood. Lisa, when Walmart came in, that kind of opened the floodgates, didn't it, for other things to come in? When you think of all the other businesses that have located in Allgood.
Oh, it did. We started having, of course, a lot more traffic coming in, and then we've had right next to Walmart, we've had all sorts of businesses, you know, the fast food operations that we have there. And of course, then across the street, there's, you know, drugstore now, and
Dollar Tree and
Dollar Tree and
Sonic, and you got all kinds of that's kind of almost a little key retail area of Allgood now is at 111
and 10th
Main
Street
Street,
or Main
yep.
Street, right. And of course, you know, with things that we hope to have in the future. We're trying to draw more businesses in and recreate or help renew our downtown area.
Mhm. There's another big one that folks probably don't think about that's in all good now is IWC.
Oh, absolutely. Right across from the school.
Yeah, Bob and Jimmy Mackey bringing IWC to all good. I know that was a big event, and with the millions of dollars of business that brings in and out of all good.
Oh, they are great partners.
They're
to
great
work
people.
with.
They absolutely are. And so you think about all good as being small sometime, but then you start thinking about all those new businesses, retail, all these things that are happening in all good. And correct me if I'm wrong on this. New City Hall
Oh, yes.
that you pay cash for.
We did.
That is huge for a city the size of all good to be able to build a nice public facility like that and to be able to pay cash for it. That's
Well,
kudos to all
to
good
the
for being able
powers
to
that
do
be.
that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, and a lot of people refer to it as not All Good City Hall, but All Good's Taj Mahal. And so what we want to remember is that we were able to do
Yes.
that without financing.
Yes.
Plus, we tried to structure it so that it would accommodate our needs for several years to come. And I invite anybody I'd be happy to give them a tour of where the old City Hall was, and they can compare.
There is no comparison. You have a great city hall, and that's the center of the city that people come into all good look at to see how government is being handled in all good. There's been I think with all our smaller cities, there's times that we have turmoil and trouble and so forth. And of course, you know as well as anyone, all good's been in the news previously quite a bit, but things seem to have quietened down in all good lately. Is that the case?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it used to be a slow news day when we were below the fold, and you know now I'm grateful that we're not even on the front page anymore.
That's always a good thing.
It is.
And so, what do you attribute that to? People getting along better and working relationships better?
I think so. I always have advocated for a more open and honest and transparent situation, and I think people feel more comfortable at City Hall now, and so they don't feel so isolated. And when you can communicate, then you can cut out a whole lot of these problems.
Communication is a big part of it, isn't it?
It is.
You're listening to Today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 at 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. We're talking with All Good Mayor Lisa. Stay with us. Helpman Fowler this morning. Much more to come with. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. The show is talking about all the great things that's happening in our community. I hope you're having a great weekend. My guest this morning is All Good Mayor Lisa Fowler. We've been talking about all good and the great things that are happening in all good. Several topics that we want to talk about. Probably the number one that I've been seeing some teases on is something to do with a water tank in all good. Can you talk about that?
I can, a little bit. And we want everybody to know that this is not just one water tank. Some people new to the area may not realize there are several water tanks. Of course, you know that.
Yeah.
But the one I think people see or remember the most is the water tower that faces Main Street. It faces Virginia Avenue, and it's next door or behind First National Bank there. And so that water tank at its peak capacity used to hold 200,000 gallons of water. But it was taken offline about 20 years ago. And so now we are facing a dilemma as to what to do with this older water tank. So we are having, which I'm very proud to say is, I think in the history of All Good, our very first town hall meeting.
Wow.
And that's going to be April the 4th at 6 o'clock at All Good City Hall. It'll be a little less structured maybe, not as formal as a council meeting.
Right.
And what I think has broad appeal to not just the citizens of All Good, but you know, you may have lived in All Good and then moved away, or you may have gone to school in All Good, or you know, there are lots of people that this could affect,
Right.
not just all good folks, but there are two possibilities. And so I don't want to divulge too much
No,
right now
we're not
because
asking you to do
I
that.
want you to come
To
to
the
the
meeting.
meeting. But we are faced with what we're going to do with it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to do is try to plan for about a year out, and so that we can make an informed decision. We want all the public input that we can get, good, bad, ugly,
You want
indifferent.
to hear all the opinions.
I do. I mean, I represent all the folks there, and I just would like to hear what everybody thinks about it. So,
Well, kudos to you for setting up that public forum to allow people to come and express their viewpoints. That's great.
well, and you with county meetings, you know, sometimes people are hesitant to
say
speak up.
something, yes.
Exactly. And so I thought in a more informal type setting that, you know, people might feel more comfortable
Yeah.
or, you know, not so stifled. And so we just want everybody to come. If we have to move chairs out into the hall or where, we'll do it.
Do what you
Just-
need to do.
We will. We want a record turnout, and the council members are going to be there. The city manager will be there to answer any, and the director of public works, whose input would be really important on something like
Absolutely,
this.
absolutely. And remind our listeners when that meeting is again.
April the 4th at 6 p.m. at the All Good City Hall.
Where everyone go out, and if you have an opinion on the water tank and All Good, go out and listen to what the plans they are and express your opinion. We're talking to Lisa Fowler this morning. She's the mayor of All Good. One of the things that I've been hearing about recently that excites me on a county level, we're all into economic development and new businesses and so forth. Something about a business incubator project and All Good?
Yes, we are very excited about our business incubator project. The city still owns or the building where City Hall was located.
Mm-hmm.
So we have come up with the idea that we could subdivide that actual parcel, and we could invite people who are interested to submit their proposal to the council, and it would be something where maybe it would be a draw to the downtown area. If you wanted to, say, open a coffee shop, we could assist you in that regard.
Yeah.
You tell us which piece you'd like to rent, and depending on the improvements made and those kinds of things, we can help offset any rent. And so we could, you know, the details have not been all worked out yet about the leases, but if you're interested in one of those downtown spots, we can help with some rent abatement depending on the improvement. Then, you know, we want you to get established, and when you are, then we'll ask you to start paying some portion of the rent, and then, you know, hopefully we want, you know, 5-year tenants there. We want someone who can help us make the downtown area vibrant and welcoming again.
Well, that's great for small businesses that have a hard time getting started sometimes. So I'm not sure that's happened in Putnam County before. I know we have the Biz Hub here in Cookville that helps with thinking and helping them get business going. But to have a place that you can go to that's giving you discounts or help with rent and a facility and be able to start your business, that's amazing.
Well, it's something that we've wanted to try. You know, we always will own the building. I mean, but if we wanted to sell it at any point, we could, but we would just rather have some business there and utilize it and draw people back downtown.
You go back to that day, and I do too, when All Good had a very vibrant downtown area there with several businesses. I remember we were talking earlier about Dr. Moore's office, local doctor there that was a great doctor, treated a lot of All Good residents for many years, and all the businesses that were along Main Street there in All Good. So your goal is to try to bring that vibration back to downtown All Good.
Yeah, we love for you to stop up there and visit our businesses and our
Yes.
Walmart, but when you're through there, come on downtown and see what we have to offer. And I don't know what that'll be right at the moment. We haven't decided on any applicant because we want to treat everybody the same, of course, fairly, and so we're accepting applications now. The city manager will take you over and give you a tour, let you pick out which section that you'd like to rent or what we can help you with. We're set up to switch the utilities. It can be separately metered. So we're just excited to see, what people want to give a try downtown.
I think it's great, Lisa. I think it's a great project. I think not only does that help Allgood, it helps our county bringing in new businesses. And we both know from our years of public service that small business is the backbone of our community. It's nice to have the large companies, but having lots of small businesses is what keeps not only our county but our country growing. And kudos to you and Allgood for doing that. We're talking to Mayor Lisa Fowler this morning of Allgood, talking about all the great things that are going on in Allgood. You're listening today in Putnam County on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. I'm Randy Porter, your host. Stay with us. We've got lots more. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Executive Randy Porter. Show's talking about all the great things happening in our community. We're talking with Allgood Mayor Lisa Fowler this morning about all the great things happening in Allgood. Lisa, one thing that I saw in the paper, and I know that we've been talking about recently, is Allgood looking at, as you grow, maybe changing the way that you do your dispatching for police and fire and Allgood. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can. Thanks for bringing that up because I really think the public we've gotten things kind of confused. I laughed at our last work session and I said, I only knew about these issues until I read them in the paper. But that's not exactly true. It's just that I think dispatching is a separate issue from having someone in City Hall. Our City Hall, as much as we love the aesthetics of it and the ability to help our citizens, it is rather sterile and rather cold when you first come in. And, I think that the citizens that I've heard from would like to have somebody there in City Hall who could direct you to the proper office and get someone for you to speak to. And I think that would help a lot in making that more accessible to the public.
Right.
Now, I think we've kind of gotten our wires crossed about dispatching. And I have seen where Monterey and Baxter have rejected the idea.
Right.
And let me give kudos to our sheriff. He is a great person to work with.
Absolutely.
I have had meetings with him. He has volunteered to explain it to me, to come to a council meeting and explain how dispatching goes. And of course, for those that don't know, the Sheriff's Department does our dispatching as well as for Baxter and Monterey.
Free of charge.
Yes, free of charge.
But we're county. All the citizens in the county, whether you live in Allgood, Cookeville, Monterey, or out in the rural part of the county, we're all citizens of the county, and your tax dollars go to the Sheriff's Department too. So that's happened for as long as I can remember, right?
Me too.
Yeah.
And speaking for myself, I have absolutely no problem with the sheriff's dispatching system, or, we have gotten great service in the past, and I don't know what the council will decide to do, but I would be surprised if there were any changes on the horizon. Yeah, I just having a person in City Hall who can direct you to the appropriate person that you need to speak with of the department is a totally separate issue than going out and setting up your own dispatch. Or asking the emergency communications folks to do it. So, I just...
As it stands right now, the Sheriff's Department dispatches for your police department, and the 911 Center dispatches for your fire department, and that's been that way as far as I can remember back in all my years, and I'm sure you too. But of course, Allgood's growing, and you're wanting to do something to help the citizens with having somebody in City Hall, and that makes sense. Cookeville saw those growing pains many years ago and had to do something similar. So That's going to be coming up at future
It
council
will.
member-
It's going to
council
have
meetings.
to because, and that, again, everybody wants to scream funding and, where are you going to get the money to do this? But, I think that where there's a will, there's a way. And
Right.
we'll figure it out because I guess just like you, we're knee-deep in budget talks, or we may be
Absolutely.
even deeper. I don't know.
And it will get worse as the months go by
It
for
sure
the next few
will.
months.
It's going to get hotter.
Can you give us some updates? You've got a new fire hall construction going on. There's been talk of a new city park and so forth. Can you give us a little update on some of those projects?
Sure. The fire hall is almost totally complete. We can't finish, of course, the landscaping and those kinds of issues until we get a little better weather.
Right.
It's got to be consistently warm there for a while, and with the rain, we've certainly been blessed with that this year.
Lots of rain.
So, but for all practical purposes, that's going to be up and running.
That's great.
Then we have the park, which is a more delicate issue. Things, as you know, don't happen overnight.
Slow in government sometimes.
Sometimes, and the same thing with, people want swift and certain justice, and, you have to remember the cliche that, the wheels of justice turn slow sometimes.
right.
But, we just purchased the park last year. We have gone into the first phase of the design implementation. We received a $50,000 grant to help offset the cost of, mapping out what we have, what the uses would be suited for.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular budget year will just be more focused on that type of thing. Where
Planning.
Planning, yes. And it's just, it's going to be, I'm just asking for patience. It's going to be a work in progress.
Well, and it's going to be a great thing to have a park and all good for the folks to enjoy. So good luck on that in the future. I know coming in as mayor, you've got history and being mayor before, so this is not something new to you, but I know you have ideas and goals for all good in the final minute that we got. Give us those, what you see the future of all good.
Well, I do think we'll maintain our sovereignty. I think that we have a good financial picture ahead. The previous administrations have been very good about budgeting and about, saving for a rainy day. And I think that we're going to just continue to grow. We're going to continue to prosper. And we want people to feel welcome, to always express their ideas. I think sometimes in previous years, things have been a little curt or back to communication, and
Yeah.
I think we've cured those things, or we're working toward a cure. And I just think that we're not going to be just a bedroom community anymore. We want you to come, live, work, have a vested interest in our continued prosperity.
Well, I think All Good has a great future. I wish you the best as mayor, and I'll always be there to work with you in any way. We have some projects we're working on that hopefully will benefit both All Good and the county. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for what you do for All Good, and best wishes on everything going on in All Good.
Thanks, Randy.
Now it's time for What's Happening, the part of the show where I keep you informed of some of the special events going on in Putnam County. Tonight, 6:30, which is March the 16th, the Murder Mystery and Cookville Movie Awards at the Saltbox Inn. That's sponsored by the Cookville Sunset Rotary. On Saturday, March the 16th and Sunday, March the 17th, which is this weekend, starting at midnight, a great event that goes on in Cookville annually, the Free Medical, Dental, and Vision Clinic, which is sponsored by RAM. It will be at the Cookville High School. This offers free treatment to folks that can't afford medical, dental, or vision, and it starts lining up at midnight, and they will start their services at 6 a.m. both on Saturday and Sunday. Friday, March 22nd and Saturday, March 23rd at 7 p.m., the Nitro Arena Cross Motorcycle Races, sponsored by Motorhead Events at Tennessee Tech Heidelberg's Arena on Gainsborough Grade. Saturday, March the 30th, 10 a.m., we have our first Upper Cumberland Pet Expo, which will be also at Heidelberg's at the Ag Pavilion. It's hosted by the Friends of the Cookville Putnam County Animal Shelter. pet vendors, vaccine, microchipping clinics, and much more. Check that out on Saturday, March the 30th. Saturday, April the 13th, a great annual event here in Cookeville at 6 p.m., the Cookeville Regional Charitable Foundation's Pink Gala. Don't forget, Brent is a pink tie guy for Susan B. Coleman. Help him with his donations to try to reach his goal. The Charitable Foundation's Pink Gala will be at Leslie Town Center, and proceeds go to the free ladies mammogram program. Saturday, April the 20th at 10 a.m., the second annual adult Easter egg hunt at Del Monaco Winery. Over 4,000 eggs filled with prizes. You can check out their website for more. Saturday, April the 27th at 10 a.m., the Made Here Market at the Biz Foundry here on North Cedar. So showcase artists, makers, creators from around the Upper Cumberland. Check that out. And finally, Saturday, April the 27th, from 1 to 4 p.m., the 10th annual Dogapalooza in Dogwood Park. It's sponsored by the Cookeville Leisure Services. Take your dog out to the park for a great time. That's 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturday, April 27th. And that's what's happening for this week. For more details on any of these events, go to my website, randyporter.org, or my Facebook page, Putnam County TN. If you have an event you would like mentioned on the show, please message or email me. And finally this morning, I leave you with something to think about. This weekend, the rural area medical-free clinic, dental, and vision is happening at the Cookeville High School. Hundreds of people that cannot afford this care will be waiting in line for hours to receive the free care. This is a great event for our community. It's only possible due to all the volunteers. Doctors, nurses, dentists, and many more donate their time to help these people. I want to thank each one of them for giving back to our community. When it comes down to it, isn't that what it's all about? Giving back to our community, helping others that are in need. When I think about what makes the community we live in so great, I think of events like this, where the citizens of our community step up to help our fellow man in need. That's something to think about. That's our show for today. I want to thank all of my guests for being here today. Lisa Fowler Chapman, our all-good mayor. Hope you will join us every Saturday morning at 10:30 for Today in Putnam County, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. Remember, you can also download the WHUB app and listen to us on your cell phone. If you missed any of our shows, go to my website, randyporter.org, where you can see all of those. I'm County Executive Randy Porter, hoping you have a great rest of your weekend, and may God continue to bless our great county.